I accidentally but dialed my boss while my little brother was trying on a new sweater. It's too small. I can't get it on. No way. I bought your exact size. It's stuck. Easy, that hurts, ow, ow, ow. Okay, I'm trying to help you. I gave it one last yank and cooed, there you go, sweetie. See? All better. Let me fix it for you. Are you sure? He gasped for air, clutching the tight collar around his neck. Later, I heard that my boss took a mysterious call during a board meeting, his face growing darker and darker by the second. He didn't say a word, just proceeded to chew out the heads of all 28 departments until they were in tears. My brother pointed at my phone. Only then did I see it was in an active call, Caleb Holt's name glowing on the screen. I snatched up the phone to explain, but all I heard was a dial tone. He'd hung up. A few seconds later, a text came through. If you're better get your ass back to work, you're not the CEO's wife, you can't do whatever you want. The two unpunctuated lines instantly translated in my head into his calm, cold voice. He must have heard me talking to my brother, full of energy, and figured I was faking my sick leave to slack off at home. Freaking capitalists. I shot back a reply, got it, Mr. Holt. I'll be back tomorrow. The typing indicator bubbled up on his end, but nothing came through. He probably wanted to tear into me but held back. That man never hesitated to speak his mind when he wanted to curse someone out. But then again, I had worked for him for 4 years and this was my first time taking any time off, and it was for surgery. The next day, the first thing my colleague Diane said when she saw me was to watch my back. He's been breathing fire. Yelled at all the VPs in yesterday's meeting until they cried. I timed it perfectly, brewed a cup of coffee, and knocked on his office door. I also brought in the day's schedule for his review. Good morning, Mr. Holt. Here's your agenda for today. 2 routine meetings during the day, and a dinner with the Sutton Group tonight. He didn't touch the coffee. His long fingers rested casually on the desk, his voice chillingly cold. Have the new girl, Susan, join me for the dinner tonight. You don't need to go. Why? Okay, Mr. Holt. I'll let her know to get ready. I swallowed my questions and quietly backed out of his office. He hated subordinates questioning his decisions and disliked people prying. Shaking off my slight irritation, I walked over to Susan's desk. When she heard the news, she covered her mouth in an exaggerated gasp, her eyes welling up with tears. Really, Ava? Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm just so excited. Diane, who loved a good bit of drama, sidled over to stir the pot. Well, look at Susan, huh? You've only been filling in for a few days and you're already trying to take your mentor's job. Of course not. I still have so much to learn from Ava. But Mr. Holt is just so sweet, isn't he? Sweet? I turned my head and met Diane's equally baffled gaze. I hired Susan a month ago, right after I confirmed my surgery date. Although Diane had volunteered to cover for me during my leave, I declined her kind offer. I had my own reasons. 4 years ago, fresh out of college, fate pushed me to Caleb Holt's side. At the time, he had just walked away from Holt Industries to start his own company from scratch. In just 4 years, he'd built it into a leader in the industry. I stood in his light, basking in his glow, but it also cast a long shadow behind me. Everyone at the company now respectfully called me Ava, but only because I stood next to him. The whispers of doubt had never truly stopped. In Caleb's mind, too, I was just someone who could be replaced at any moment. Only by leaving him could I prove that I had earned my place by his side all these years through my own abilities. Besides, I'd heard the rumors when I first joined the company. He had taken one look at me and decided on the spot to hire me. All because I bore a striking resemblance to his old flame, the one who now lived abroad. I hadn't really believed it. Until the day Susan came in for her interview. Caleb glanced up, and for a fleeting moment, a flicker of emotion crossed his eyes, as if he were seeing someone he knew. That's when I started to believe the rumors were true. Only this time, when people joked about it, they didn't mention the ghost of his first love. Susan and Ava look kind of alike, don't they? Guess the boss has a type. Late one night, I stared at a photo on my phone, a photo of a photo, and the more I looked, the clearer it became. Susan didn't just look like me, she looked even more like his old flame. It was a picture I'd taken of a small, palm-sized photograph. One day about a year ago, the cleaning lady found a photo in the trash after tidying his office and brought it to me. "Ms. Hayes, Mr. Holt threw this photo in the bin. I don't know if he still wants it. Give it to me. I'll ask him." I took the photo. In it, a 17 or 18-year-old Caleb wore a boyish smile. A pretty girl with a sweet smile stood close beside him. They looked like the perfect couple, exuding the same air of refined grace. They were a perfect match. On a whim, I secretly snapped a picture of it with my phone. When I placed the photograph back on Caleb's desk, he glanced at it. His hand, reaching out, froze in mid-air and then pulled back. I threw that out. She got married. I cursed myself for being nosy. I'll take it to the shredder then, just to be safe. Forget it. Just give it to me. Just as my fingers touched the photo, his hand landed on top of mine, covering the back of my hand. He looked up, and in that instant, I snatched my hand back, my throat tight. Of course, Mr. Holt. The electric warmth of his touch replayed over and over in my mind. Caleb had probably forgotten all about it. After briefing Susan on the procedure and key points for the dinner meeting, Diane pulled me aside. "You should hold back a little. Don't tell her everything." I appreciated her concern and chuckled. The whole time I was gone, she was wearing dresses with necklines down to her navel and slits up to her hip. Mr. Holt didn't say a word, which means he likes it. Besides, I don't plan on working for Caleb Holt forever. I turned away to make some coffee. The spoon stirring the dark liquid slowly stilled my restless thoughts. Before leaving for the day, I placed a bottle of milk on Caleb's desk as usual. He had his legs lazily propped up on the edge of the desk, his silhouette long and lean. "Mr. Holt, I've gone over all the details for tonight's dinner with Susan. Please remember to drink the milk before you have any alcohol." He turned his head slightly. His gaze shifted from the milk bottle to my face. "You've lost weight." Then his tone shifted abruptly. "Am I not paying you enough?" Huh. I was stunned for a second, then I understood. In just one afternoon, what I'd told Diane had already reached his ears. That was fast, but not entirely unexpected. I adopted a serious expression. "Mr. Holt, I was originally planning to submit my resignation once Susan was fully trained. Thank you for your guidance these past few years." "What's their offer?" He cut in, his brow furrowed as if he were negotiating a difficult deal. It was as if I were an item in a shop window. Anyone could buy me, as long as the price was high enough. I shook my head, my voice firm but gentle. "It's not about the money." "Then what is it? Because I asked Susan to the dinner instead of you? Or because you haven't rested enough after being sick? If something is making you unhappy or uncomfortable, you can say it." His tone was surprisingly coaxing. The golden evening sun slanted into the room, a ray of light landing perfectly on his bobbing Adam's apple. His chiseled face was half in shadow, as beautiful as a sculpture. When I didn't speak, he reached up, loosened his tie, and undid the top 2 buttons of his shirt, revealing a hint of skin. He closed his eyes and massaged his temples. In that instant, a wave of desire seemed to evaporate into the air. I looked away. In front of his employees, he was always impeccably dressed, never giving anyone reason for improper thoughts. Could it be that Susan's flirting had opened up a whole new world for him? His voice pulled me back to reality. "If this is about Susan, I can understand that. If you mind." "It's not that," I quickly explained. "Susan is very smart. She's a perfect replacement for me." He adjusted his cuffs, stood up, and unbuttoned another button of his shirt. A hint of a lean, tight chest muscle was now visible. The way his broad shoulders tapered sharply to a narrow waist was enough to make anyone blush. I fanned my face with my hand. Spring weather is so strange. It was freezing yesterday, and today it's so hot. My thing isn't urgent, we can talk about it in detail later. Mr. Holt, you should get ready to leave. I've already instructed the driver that if you drink too much tonight, he'll take you directly to the Holt estate. He looked at me, his tone cool, but his eyes held a predatory glint. It's fine. If I drink too much, Susan can take care of me. She can take me back to my place, the one where I live alone. She could even spend the night, if I wanted. After all, I'm pretty bigger than her. Caleb's tone was casual, but the pink flush creeping up his ears betrayed him. He was trying to get a rise out of me. Susan was 8 years younger than him, and her desk was never without flowers from admirers. Caleb was a shark in the business world, but a complete novice when it came to romance. This petulant side of him was almost cute, but the fact that it was for someone else's benefit left me feeling wistful. I stared at my toes, collected myself, and forced a smile. Mr. Holt, size isn't really the issue. True. But the younger ones are always more energetic, don't you think? His words sounded familiar, but before I could place them, my phone rang. He frowned and waved a hand, signaling for me to go take the call. I backed out of the room while answering my brother on the other end. You're downstairs? I'll be right down. My brother, Leo, had one long leg crossed over the other, leaning casually against the door of a Bugatti. He peered at me over his sunglasses, giving me a condescending look. He even blew a kiss to the crowd of female co-workers who had gathered to watch, causing a small commotion. Ava, your little brother looks like a movie star. Damn, your taste is top-notch. Hey Ava, the younger ones are more energetic. I gave a weak, guilty smile. Suddenly, I remembered. That was something I'd said while talking smack in the office. Had that also gotten back to Caleb? My brother slung an arm over my shoulder and pushed me into the passenger seat. I was both embarrassed and annoyed. Leo. What is all this? He dropped the flippant act and glanced at me. Didn't you say some creep was bothering you, and you used our picture to pretend I was your boyfriend? I'm here to make it official. I burst out laughing, pinching my thigh to hold back tears. I was just saying that. You didn't have to take it so seriously. Where'd you get the car? Borrowed it from my boss. To put on a show for you, so no one dares to bully you. You little punk. When have I ever let anyone bully me? My hand, raised instinctively to smack him, landed on his shoulder. I realized then how much broader his shoulders had become. It had been 4 years since we'd seen each other, and everything from before felt like it was from another lifetime. In a few days, it'll be the 4th anniversary of Mom's passing. We should go together. I can't get away, sis. Can you buy some flowers for Mom from me? With a sudden stop, Leo motioned with his chin for me to get out. I have to take the car back to my boss. Sis, call me anytime if you need anything. A cold evening wind hit my stomach. As I looked up, Caleb's Maybach glided past. Next to his sharp profile, Susan was smiling sweetly. Caleb had even dismissed the driver to drive himself. Watching the car disappear, I opened my phone. I found the number of the headhunter who contacted me as regularly as my period and made the call. Then I bought beer and fried chicken, went home, and ate until my face was greasy. The hands on the clock on the wall moved with excruciating slowness. I was startled awake by a phone call, but it was only midnight. There was no one on the other end, just heavy, ragged breathing. Breathing so heavy it sounded like something was about to be devoured whole. I lowered my hand, stared at the ceiling, and waited for the screen to go dark. Just like my accidental call, he must have but dialed me. It was a funny coincidence. A year ago, Caleb couldn't stand the sight of me constantly swiping on my phone screen, which was cracked like the Grand Canyon. With a look of disgust, he tossed me a new, unopened phone from his cabinet. Everyone out there knows you're my person. I can't afford to be embarrassed like this. And so, I held the phone, identical to the one in his hand, and chewed over the words "you're my person" again and again. I worked even more obsessively, turning down countless offers that would have doubled my salary, just to spend every possible second with him. Until about a month ago, when I casually complained about not feeling well. Caleb's fingers, which had been flipping through a project proposal, paused. "You should hire someone new as a backup. In case you get sick, we need someone to take over immediately." I was stunned for a second, but I replied, "Okay, Mr. Holt." My body felt as if it had been doused with a bucket of ice water in the dead of winter. It was bone-chillingly cold. It was only then that I understood. In Caleb's eyes, I was always replaceable. Perhaps that's why the drive that had kept me going for so long suddenly dissipated, leading to my illness and the need for surgery. The first peaceful sleep I'd had in years was, ironically, in a hospital bed. When I woke up, Leo was slumped by my side, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. "You told me you couldn't pick me up and to go home by myself. I thought you didn't want me anymore. But then I figured something must be wrong. I shouldn't have avoided you. From now on, you have to tell me when you're sick." My little brother, who had spent 4 years in juvie and avoided seeing me every time I visited, was now back by my side, his eyes filled with a heavy, anxious energy. That's why I had to leave Caleb. I needed to keep climbing, to build a higher, stronger fortress for our lives. The next day at the office, I was ambushed by my colleagues. Susan was a master of evasion, her smile ambiguous. "Don't spread rumors, it was just work." Where did I sleep? At home, of course. Is it your business where my home is? You're asking too many questions. The once icy Caleb emerged from his office, clearly annoyed by the scene, but he forced himself to make small talk with everyone. I pretended not to care and looked out the window. "Ava," his voice pulled my gaze back, "come in for a second." Inside his office, he dropped the fake smile. He slammed a stack of documents on the desk with a sharp smack. "You know Holt Industries is a sore spot for me." "Why?" I smiled faintly. "Mr. Holt, Holt Industries is a powerhouse, and they pay well. I just made the same decision any employee would make." "You're just like them. Is there a difference?" he asked, pointing a finger toward the office outside, the corners of his eyes turning red. His voice was strained, hoarse from restraint. I followed his line of thought and shot back without a hint of hesitation. He froze for a moment, his tone suddenly sounding almost wounded. "To you. Is my company no different from any of those others? Just like how, to you, I need a backup who can replace me at any time. To me, I naturally have to be vigilant and have my next job lined up." The moment the words left my mouth, I cursed myself. "Ava, you're insane." Caleb was famously vengeful. No matter how resentful I was, I couldn't afford to offend him at this juncture. I clenched my fists, preparing to grit my teeth and apologize. But I saw that while his face was still cold, his gaze had suddenly softened. "Are you mad at me for hiring someone to replace you?" His deep, rich voice was already pleasant to listen to. This gentle inquiry was enough to make one's heart flutter. My defenses suddenly crumbled, and my voice took on a hint of a wounded, nasal tone. "I admit, I was a little angry, but that's my problem." "No," he interrupted. "It's not your problem. It's my wording that made you misunderstand. I was just worried about your health. You're too thin, and you work too hard." "Oh." I was a bit confused. Caleb was very different from before. He had always been like a machine, intolerant of errors, ruthless in his actions. He would fire a subordinate of several years without blinking over a minor mistake. But just now, it seemed like he was telling me it was his fault. I sniffled, glanced at the box of tissues on his desk, but ultimately chose to wipe my tears with the back of my hand. He strode forward in one step and brushed the tears from my cheek with his thumb. His other hand grasped my wrist, which was hovering in the air. His warm palm rested on my frantically racing pulse. Like two outsiders caught in a situation caused by our own impulsive actions, we stood there awkwardly, our eyes locked. I was the first to break, taking a step back. My high heel conveniently caught on the carpet. His hand slid down to my waist, and with a gentle pull, he brought me closer to him. I instinctively pressed my palms against his chest. His scent, once so distant, exploded in my senses. The moment I looked up, he couldn't hold back any longer. His eyes were hazy with desire as he lowered his head and crushed his lips against mine. I held my breath, using all my strength to regain my sanity, and pushed him away. "Mr. Holt, please have some self-respect. I have a boyfriend." I rushed to the restroom and splashed cold water on my face, but my heart still wouldn't calm down. Caleb had just finished toying with Susan, and now he was coming on to me. I couldn't help but wonder if he'd been rejected by Susan and was now seeking comfort from me. And what was with that heavy breathing on the phone call? Or maybe, to stop me from going to Holt Industries, he was using himself as bait? Or could he actually like me? That was too ridiculous. "Ava, are you okay?" Lost in thought, I hadn't noticed Susan appear by the sink. She handed me a makeup bag. "You should apologize," he said coldly, staring at the woman. "You didn't look well when you came out, so I followed you." In the mirror, my face was pale, my lipstick smudged. She rested her chin on my shoulder like a purring kitten. "Did Caleb tell you that we're getting engaged? He actually arranged for me to interview here. He said you're a very caring person and would take good care of me." "I'm sorry, Ava. If I hadn't come back, I'm sure he would have fallen for you one day. But my dad said my sister broke Caleb's heart back then, and he won't let me be willful anymore. Help me keep it a secret, okay? He told me not to make it public yet, or he'd give me a spanking." Her almond-shaped eyes stared at me through the mirror, a faint smile playing on her lips. I pushed the makeup bag back to her, hugged my arms tightly, and tried to remain calm. "Thanks, but I'm not used to using other people's things. Congratulations to you both, then. And don't worry, we were just discussing business, about my resignation." I walked out of the restroom first. This sudden show of dominance filled me with a huge sense of helplessness and humiliation. A new message popped up on my phone. From Caleb: "There's a cocktail party tonight. Get ready to attend with me." Events like these were usually reserved for senior management. And Caleb had never brought a date. I had no idea what game Caleb was playing. Nor did I have any interest in being a pawn in his and Susan's little drama. Just get through the day, one day at a time. I quickly composed myself and, at the scheduled time, knocked on Caleb's office door. I placed the warmed milk on his desk. "Mr. Holt, we leave in 10 minutes. Ava, there's something I need to confess to you. I already know about Susan's identity. Don't worry, Mr. Holt. I'm not interested, and I won't say a word. I didn't mean to deceive you. I was afraid it would make things difficult for you. It's fine. As long as the boss is happy." While he was still speechless from my retort, I exited the office. Neither of us spoke again until we arrived at the party venue. As I got out of the car, I saw Susan getting out of a Bugatti not far away, her eyes fixed on me. I sucked in a breath. That car, it was the same one Leo had driven to pick me up from the office. Susan trotted over. "Caleb, why did you bring Ava?" "It's fine. She's one of us. My dad isn't coming today, he sent me to have some fun." "Oh, right, the other day you asked who was driving my dad's car." She waved at Leo, who had just parked the car. "Ava, isn't it a coincidence? Your brother is my dad's driver. But don't worry, my father is a very nice person. This is Mr. Holt, your sister's boss. Say hello." Leo clasped his hands behind his back and bowed stiffly. "Good evening, Mr. Holt." Caleb looked Leo over with amusement, then turned his gaze back to me. "So this is the boyfriend you were talking about?" He seemed to have completely forgotten our earlier unpleasantness. "Since you're here, why don't you come in and join us? I reached out to stop him. My brother doesn't like these kinds of events. Susan batted my hand away. Ava, it's just for fun. Are you afraid he'll embarrass you? Susan's comment was pointed. My brother secretly tugged on my sleeve. He valued this job and didn't want to offend his boss. I didn't try to stop them anymore. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Caleb smiling, idly chatting along with Susan. So he had this easygoing side to him. A few successful-looking men holding champagne glasses came over to greet them. Caleb exchanged a few pleasantries, then turned to me. This is Ava. When she joins Holt Industries, I'll need you all to look after her. Ms. Hayes, any woman who can make Caleb Holt bow his head to the old man Holt is no simple character. From their bits and pieces of conversation, I finally understood. Caleb was afraid I'd be targeted and given a hard time at Holt Industries because of his history with the company. So he had gone to the Holt patriarch and knelt to apologize. Fortunately, the old man had been waiting for this day and immediately accepted the olive branch. Caleb brought me here to show everyone that Ava Hayes had his backing. My heart softened, and a lump formed in my throat. I grabbed a glass and, one after another, downed them in toasts. The alcohol went to my head, and with the liquid courage, I finally dared to grab Caleb and apologize. But as soon as I opened my mouth, tears started streaming down my face. I'm sorry. I should have told you properly. I didn't know you would do all this for me. I thought you hated me. The light cast the shadow of his tall frame over me, like a warm embrace. He smiled faintly, his outstretched hand pausing in mid-air before he retracted it. His voice was earnest and gentle. Ava, how could I ever hate you? You just need to believe that you are far more excellent and wonderful than you think. Before I could savor his words, a commotion erupted in the middle of the hall. Screams were followed by a torrent of curses. Murderer! How did you get in here? I ran over and pushed through the crowd. Leo was kneeling on the floor, apologizing, his eyes wide with terror. He's the teenage convict who killed his own father a few years ago. How did he get in? I pushed the woman aside and pulled Leo up. We're leaving. The onlookers blocked our way. Amid the pushing and shoving, a familiar voice came from behind me. Don't let them leave. Caleb's expression was indifferent. The person who had spoken clearly recognized Caleb, and her aggressive tone immediately softened. Me? Why should I apologize? Caleb adjusted his cuffs, his gaze fierce. Because I can make it so you never set foot through these doors again. The person was about to argue when Susan appeared out of nowhere. Caleb, don't fight. She's my friend. Ava, she just got scared. Please don't mind her, okay? Just then, Leo let out a bleak laugh and shook off my hand. Do I know you? Why are you sticking your nose in other people's business? I stood frozen, understanding that he was saying this because he didn't want me to be judged because of him. He had already bolted into the darkness outside. The crowd was still murmuring. The case of the 15-year-old who killed his father 4 years ago, it was huge. His dad was an alcoholic, a gambler, and an abuser. He was protecting his mom. The pale lights and the noisy chatter grew increasingly unreal. My vision went black, and I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, Caleb was dozing beside me, dark circles under his eyes. Leo's fine. I had someone take him home to rest. He answered my unspoken question. Then came the lecture. Low blood sugar, malnutrition, not enough rest. Am I paying you so little that you can't even afford to eat? I managed a weak, ugly smile. Mr. Holt, if you keep caring about me like this, I won't want to leave you. He fiddled with a water glass, speaking as if he were joking. Then don't leave. What am I going to do if I go back on my word with Holt Industries? No company will want me after that. I was half joking, half testing him. Suddenly, a rush of hurried footsteps sounded from the doorway. Caleb, who had been about to say more, looked toward the door as Susan walked in carrying a thermos. Ava, I brought you some food. The hospital food can't be good. When you're better, I'll drag my friend over here to apologize to you and Leo personally. Her tone was sincere, without a hint of falsehood. Only then did I remember that the woman at the party was the daughter of one of our business partners. If we went head to head, Caleb would likely win, but it would cause significant negative fallout for the company. I shook my head. It's true that Leo made a mistake. You can't blame people for being scared. Let's just drop it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Just like Caleb said, Ava is so generous. Well, we'll get going then. Caleb promised to have dinner with me tonight. She looked up at Caleb. After Caleb left with her, Leo arrived. The little bit of energy I had managed to recover vanished completely. He was silent for a long time before finally speaking, his words an apology. I hugged him. It wasn't your fault at all. You did nothing wrong. Let's not talk about it anymore, okay? He was surprisingly calm. Sis, don't worry. I'll work hard to be a useful person. By the way, sis, do you like Mr. Holt? I can tell he likes you too. He grinned, gossiping like a little kid, his expectant expression reminding me of when he used to beg me for stories. It had been a long, long time since I'd shared my true feelings with anyone. I ruffled his hair. I do like him, but he's way out of my league. And what makes you think he likes me? He's engaged to your boss's daughter. It's an arranged marriage between powerful families. We just need to focus on living our own little lives. Okay? He nodded emphatically. I closed my eyes. Those hidden feelings were like a preserved plum stone in my mouth. I couldn't get any meat off it, but I couldn't bear to spit it out, so I just swallowed a stomachful of sourness. I must have fallen asleep. When I woke up, Leo was gone. Leo's phone went straight to voicemail. I ripped the 4-needle out of my arm, grabbed my coat, and bolted out of the hospital. When I reached the entrance of the Grant Corporation, I saw Caleb and his entourage coming out. Seeing me, Caleb rushed over and tried to push me back. Who told you you could run around like this? As soon as the words left his mouth, a hand swung through the air. Before it could connect with my face, Caleb intercepted it. Susan's eyes were red and swollen as she screamed hysterically. We've already confirmed it was Leo who took my dad. And you're still protecting her? A murderer's sister can't be any good. She's fooled you. If you hand her over to me right now, I'll pretend I didn't hear what you said at the dinner table last night. Or are you really going to cancel our engagement for a murderer's sister? Caleb shielded me behind him, his voice calm and resolute. I'm not canceling it. I never agreed to be engaged to you in the first place. The engagement arranged by our parents with your sister was a mistake from the beginning. Luckily, she chose what she wanted and let me go. I've known about Ava's family background from the start, so I know better than anyone the hardships she's endured. As for Leo kidnapping your father, you know exactly why. You should have thought of the consequences when you arranged for him to work for your father. From Caleb's explanation, I quickly pieced everything together. Susan's return to the country had nothing to do with Caleb. But after meeting her sister's former fiancé once, she fell for him at first sight. So she lied, claiming she wanted to learn at Caleb's company to get close to him. Before Susan joined the company, Caleb had told her he was in love with someone else. She quickly discovered that the person he was talking about was me. And she had already keenly sensed my own crush on Caleb. So she investigated me and discovered my brother's existence. After Leo was released from juvie, she worked behind the scenes to get him a job at her family's company. She did this to have leverage over me in the future. But during her investigation, she also uncovered a shocking secret. The mother Leo had tried so desperately to save from his abusive father's knife was the same quiet, submissive maid who had worked for her family, the one her father had repeatedly sexually assaulted and gotten pregnant. I knew the most likely place my brother would go. It's a long shot, but I have to go alone. Otherwise, he'll be too scared. Susan started shouting that she wanted to go too. If you don't want my brother to have a mental breakdown and kill your dad, feel free to come along. Caleb grabbed my arm and played a recording on his phone. It was my conversation with Leo at the hospital last night. He sent this to me this morning, probably before he took your father. Leo was right. I like you. I'm going with you. He squeezed my hand. His palm was damp. The car sped along, turning into the mountains. Where would Leo go? When we were kids, Dad would occasionally win at gambling and, in a good mood, stuff a wad of cash into Mom's hands. She never spent it on herself, instead buying each of us a bag of snacks. She'd lead us up the mountain to a wild lake where we'd lie for the afternoon. It's good here, Mom would say. Far away from all the bad things. In the future, my little Ava and Leo will stay far away from bad things too. When I'm gone, bury me here. Just around the next bend, we would be able to see Mom's grave. The familiar Bugatti was parked on the side of the road. We got out and ran. Around the corner, we saw a portly figure kneeling before the grave, weeping and slamming his head on the ground with loud thuds, staining the stone with blood. Beside him stood a gaunt teenager, holding a knife. I stood a short distance away, pleading with him not to do anything foolish. Caleb approached him step by step. Leo, can you give the knife to me, please? I'll take you home. From now on, I'll take care of you and your sister. I promise, I'll never let you be wronged again. I'll help you bring the bad man to justice, okay? Leo looked up and smiled, just like he did when he was a child. I'm useless. I don't have the guts to kill this animal. He raised his hand and plunged the knife toward his own heart. Caleb lunged forward, tackling him to the ground. His palm closed around the blade, and in an instant, it was covered in red. The day Leo woke up from the ICU, I told him some good news. Susan's father had given himself a concussion from banging his head and was now mentally unstable. He was having frequent hallucinations, screaming that ghosts were coming for his life. The Grant family's fortunes seemed to have run out. Caleb was busy running around, taking care of everything, but he never said a word, as if his family's rapid decline had nothing to do with him. I had been with him for so many years and had only known his ruthless side. Now I knew he also had the heart of a saint. He had quietly avenged us, even if it meant taking a hit himself. He handed me a bag of clean clothes. I pulled out the sweater I had bought for Leo. This guy, his head's too big. He can't get it on. When we were little, I used to call him Big Head, and Mom would always say, some people wish their heads were bigger and can't get it. I sniffled. Caleb stroked my face and, as if remembering something, started laughing to himself. I'm pretty big, too. I cupped his head and examined it from all angles. It's perfectly normal. Not too big, not too small. Suddenly, I noticed his intense, direct stare. It wasn't right. I turned my head away, my cheeks burning. As planned, I reported for duty at Holt Industries. Diane got her wish and was transferred to be Caleb's assistant. She was a nervous wreck, sending me a text every 3 minutes. Why isn't Mr. Holt here yet? He's never this late, right? Maybe he's hiding somewhere crying because his precious girlfriend isn't with him on his first day. A shadow fell over me. I looked up as a hand snatched my phone away. A voice whispered in my ear. Precious girlfriend, I was just finishing up some paperwork. Sorry I'm a little late. He pointed to the CEO nameplate on his office door. First order of business today, have someone take this down and replace it with your precious boyfriend. Second order of business, come with me. He locked the door behind him and pressed me against the wall, his breath hot on my ear. Isn't there anything you want to ask me? Like if you ever received a strange, silent phone call late at night. He nuzzled my neck. One with this kind of breathing. Or how I could be stupid enough to throw away a photo of myself without shredding it first. My brother pointed at my phone. I gave him a light punch. You're so childish, playing all these games. I'm not childish. I'm all grown up. I lifted my face, my lips trembling in mock defiance. How grown up? Let's find out. He lowered his head and kissed me, deeper and deeper. His palm supported my back, then slid lower. Should we really be doing this here? You're the CEO's wife. You can do whatever you want.